So up to this point we've done Attack on Titan and Dragon Ball as live action adaptations, but of course there's a whole elephant in the room when it comes to terrible live action anime content that we just have to talk about in this series, and that is of course the iconic standard that is Netflix adaptations. So why not just get stuck in with the most notable example, the center of attention back in 2017. We are covering one of anime's classics from 2006 and its dreadful redo. If you're unfamiliar with the original, don't worry, I'll be your guide. Today, it's Netflix's Death Note, which by the way isn't even a series, it's a movie. Condensing everything into a 101-minute runtime? Yeah, this is gonna go well. Set in not Japan, where the stories of gods of death are more fitting, but Seattle. Classic America, with cheerleaders and football. In this reality, our protagonist Light Yagami, Light Turner, isn't an elite student with good looks, perfect grades, and a stoic personality. He's a nerd, doing other people's homework and being the bottom of the food chain. Alright, let's just chuck out that character basis for the most basic Western character cliche there is. Good start. The title screen is cool though. And so, as the plot goes, a Death Note falls from the sky and Light picks it up. Also, there's this bully doing bully things, and it's all just...
Hey, don't touch her! Technically be child abuse. So if you don't want to wind up on some kind of registry, I suggest you back the fuck!
Oh, it's so bad. What a cool character Light is. And then a teacher sees him and gets him in trouble for his homework hustle rather than helping with the injuries? That would totally make sense if we were running with the original Death Note theme of...
This world is rotting.
But it's just bad writing here.
Losing your mom the way you did?
Oh, excuse me? The mum is dead? That wasn't in the anime. So in detention, Light finally looks into the book, and then our Shinigami makes an appearance. Hey, what's up? But Ryuk here actually looks good. And I remember when researching this, I was watching the dubbed anime and thought, wow, William Dafoe would be perfect for this role. And it is William Dafoe. He's in everything right now. Spider-Man, 12 minutes, and now this. What a great trend. So Ryuk persuades Light to use the books to kill someone by writing their name. In the anime and manga, Light rules out killing the bully as it's too foolish to kill someone you know personally. This Light, well, he chooses decapitation? That never happens in the anime. At least not as far as I watched it. I've watched 12 hours of this, it's mostly heart attacks. And the execution is... gory. Oh, the things you have to do to please the American audience apparently. Blah. You know, there are Japanese live actions of this, and I have a strong feeling they take a different approach. Anyway, following that is an awkward family dinner, half the size of the original. Now the dad's a cliche strict parent, you know, for the conflict.
Don't trust Ryuk. He's not your pet, he's not your friend.
Oh, that's new too. Doesn't go anywhere. But there's some nice lighting choices. I like how Light's bedroom has the light of a train beaming past it. The original was very cinematic on its lighting, so that at least's a plus from me. And so with their second meeting, we already establish a rule with a Death Note that you can control a human for their last 48 hours. I mean, I guess we would skip ahead to turn several hours into 1.5, but still. And then they don't use it, and Light just goes to kill some criminal. Still not even monologuing about making a better world by killing evil people or anything. And it turns out this guy is the killer of Light's mum. Though even knowing that, it's really hard to tell with this sequence of shots. You have to know the dad is a detective already, and it's just bad storytelling. But now he's dead, the two have bonded a little.
Death Note? What is it?
I can't tell you. Do you really want to know? Okay, then I'll tell you.
Oh, that is just awful. What did they do to you, Light? So he goes to show off to his love interest, who is actually from the anime, as Misa Asame, a fanatic of the killer and Light separately. She doesn't appear until much later in the story, and usually with her own Death Note, but here she's Mia, introduced at the start with none of the eccentricities. Not even the blonde hair. Why does this keep happening in adaptations? They witness a kill, Mia's on board with the executions, and Light faintly has a goal of doing good, though it's much less political, just really an idea. You've got the Chad anime Light Yagami manipulating those around him and outmaneuvering every counter tactic to commit the perfect crime. And then here's the virgin Netflix Light Turner, homework nerd, desperate for approval, and with the logical mind of a goose with some penmanship skills, just killing out of spite. Okay, he's still, even though not literally, he's still the virgin Light Turner in my mind, okay? Cue the montage of growing famous under the alias of Kira, with deaths plastering the news. And one dose of controversy here, originally this montage included real footage of a train crash that killed several people. They later took this out though. So now that the world knows of Kira, even though they're a couple in this reality, of course it's time for the appearance of fan favorite rival, L. And Watari the partner is speaking Japanese. That's great as a reference to the original. Not great for our footage avoiding subtitles though. Makes you wonder though, why aren't there more Asian actors for this originally Asian story? Well, it turns out casting was chosen such that the best actors were hired for the role, and they couldn't find Asian actors who spoke English well enough. Right. It's a good thing we've made progress since 4 years ago. I mean, Shang-Chi is the perfect example, because hey look! American Asians exist! It's a start, but maybe we're coming off the tracks of marginalizing non-white American demographics. I hope so, because this was stupid. And now we finally see Light's dad as a detective, which he was in the anime, the chief of the police academy. He's approached by Watari, no longer making himself anonymous like in the original, and neither is L either. You know, it took like 4.5 hours, 9 episodes for L to show his face. Never mind. And he's basically a normal dude. L looks more like he's constantly hunched over. He sits on chairs like this with his bare feet. He holds phones with 2 fingers and continues like that or something. And they kinda try to replicate it here, but he's just too normal this time around. I loved the irony that the serial killer was so clean, whilst the detective was scruffy in the original anime, but here that's completely gone. Anyway, keeping up with the plot, L makes a TV announcement that he's after Kira and Bates like to kill him, but he can't without a name. Or apparently, the second half of his face. L somehow knows this already, despite not really testing if just one of those is needed. He's basically got the same problem as Light, he's just not as smart. Or it feels more like plot contrivances that he knows everything here. Part of the entertainment of the original is the fact that the two are geniuses and are constantly throwing these tactics at each other to swerve, but here they're just diluted down. I mean, look at this. Light goes to talk to his dad about L, is clearly suspiciously asking for info, and then looks nervous when hearing what'll happen when Kira's caught. I would have really liked to see an Edgar Wright-esque coverage of those moments where Light is clearly being two-faced with these extraordinary expressions. But here, there's no genius here. Subtlety does not exist. Might as well continue the trend, so if you're unaware, I'm streaming right now as this releases. Want to talk more about film or catch us covering trailers of the week? Pop your head on over to our Twitch. Here's our schedule. And if you're the majority that aren't subscribed watching this, come along and do so. We'll cover more live action anime soon, if this does well. So then Light has a stalker on him. In the anime, Ryuk is the one to tell him, being invisible and all. In this, Light just knows. And discussing with Mia up a Ferris wheel where he states that he doesn't want to kill innocent people to hide his tracks, different from the anime version. She and Ryuk do want to go further, and next a collection of FBI members all become possessed and walk off a building in unison, slow motion and music playing over the top too. Gee, I wonder who did that. Of course, Light blames Ryuk and he snarks back. Ryuk doesn't like this version of Light. The anime one is far more interesting to him. And next, Light's dad does a public announcement, effectively cornering Light and revealing his identity, by not killing this time. And so L confronts Light, announcing what he knows, revealing his face and saying no deals can be made. And as the stakes rise up, Mia appears to make up to Light after earlier attempting to kill his dad. They make up and set a new goal to find out L's name now that Light knows his face, choosing to possess Watari to control him for 48 hours and dedicating himself to getting L's information to Light. And further to that, a new rule to learn is that burning a page allows for one name to be deleted and cancelled in the Death Note. Didn't hear that in the anime. What if there's multiple names on the page? And this 2-day quest is actually a cool addition to the logic of the Death Note world. I actually quite like it. And L, of course, immediately finds out, going to his hotel room and spotting he's missing. So we skip to the evening now, and L just barges into the family dinner.
Your son is Keita, James.
Fine.
Damn it! You don't have to get the phone! Same and I assure you, you will not survive.
Jesus Christ, this L is aggressive! The police raid everything, Mia takes the Death Note, and Watari visits an old building that is the sole source of information on L's records and his name. And so, it's the final act of an American high school story, so of course there's an event to go to, as Light and Mia do. They do a bait and switch on the police closing in on them, and Light runs out with a death note, angered that Watari doesn't have L's name yet and his page is gone in the notebook that he can burn and save him with. And then just as he finds out the true name, he's killed, and Ryuk taunts him for it, saying how much he prefers the girl's choices with the notebook. Hey, don't we all? Confronting her at the party, then comes the plot twist. Virgin Light over here has been the one being manipulated the whole time. Mia has been the one who ripped the page out of the book, and she was the one who killed all the other FBI agents. And as a final act, she's now written Light's name to have his heart stop at midnight unless he passes her the book so he can burn his name out of it. And L is pissed about Watari's death, speeding out the building with a car now. Hey, why can't Light just burn out his own name from the book at this point? Wouldn't that fix his issues? No? Anyway, Light is now chased by police out of the school. Cue L's chase sequence. This is deeply personal now. And also, definitely not a thing in the anime. But this is a Western adaptation. You just gotta have their car sequence. And a whole lot of running. Seriously, this feels like padding at this point. Eventually, L catches him in an alleyway, threatening him with a gun, until a normal civilian knocks out L. And that's an interesting theme we see less of in the anime. The general public are pro-Kira. This world really is rotten. And it's a cool reveal to see, considering we see L's opinion so much uncontested. Still, Light runs to the pier and up the Ferris wheel with Mia, keeping them both cornered and escaped at the same time. Light vows to never use the book again, though clearly that means nothing considering all the context, and Mia doesn't want to run away, wanting the book. So Light gives her the ultimatum. If she loves him, she'll trust him and refuse the book. If she takes it, she'll never see him again. And then she takes it. The final betrayal, and Light is horrified. No one's surprised. As it turns out, Light wrote her name in the book with an if condition that's never been established before, despite them constantly listing,
Jesus, funny rules.
if she takes the book, she dies. The Ferris wheel starts to break, Mia is left dangling, and then the smooth, slow-mo music starts coming in, dropping as the two begin dropping themselves in glorious, stupid slow motion. Mia landing in petals and Light into the waters. Were they at the same vertical point? She's dead. He's not. And the one page of Light's name magically lands in a fire for L to see. Now, you might be wondering, what was all that BS right there? Well, and so with one final plot contrivance and the first case in the movie of some genuine smart plays, it was all orchestrated by Light using the Death Note. When writing Mia's name, he had also planned that upon falling from the Ferris wheel, she would rip out his page and it would land in the fire, someone would retrieve him, revive him, put him in a coma, and die. The Death Note would be grabbed by someone else from the ocean while possessed, writing all publicized criminals inside it, giving it back to him, and die, and then Light would have survived everything. Even the Death Note. Genuinely a smart piece of manipulation to use a sequence of possessed people to do your bidding, but Light did it within the short moments he was being chased out of the school, which is certainly a stretch. Not to mention, this is leaps and bounds more intelligent than anything this Light showcased up to this point, and relies on the Death Note using an extra ability of perfectly manipulating a piece of paper to land in a fire, something I don't really think is so easy to assume. All the while, L is briefly berated and deported before crashing into Light's room, finding a Death Note page and contemplating doing the deed himself to take out the real Kira, Mia Sutton. Light confesses to his dad, the music builds up about the power of love, and Ryuk appears to laugh one final time.
You humans are so interesting.
These ones? You are easily entertained. And the film abruptly ends there. Is that supposed to be open-ended? That feels like an anticlimax. Is there more? Actually, yes. There are full-on plans to make a sequel from this. I'm not kidding. This production was highly successful. It turned a lot of heads and made a lot of money. And critics don't mean anything against real profit. That being said, it does sound like moves are being made to improve the franchise with a little bit of hindsight. For a start, it's a different director in the main chair, with Greg Russo here previously working on the new Mortal Kombat movie. Alright. To be fair though, there are a lot of easy fixes for this reinterpretation. For a start, there is the whitewashing argument. This comes up with any live-action Western anime production, since the characters in drawn form can be seen as white and Asian at the same time, but it's kinda harder to lean away from the Japanese origins with a concept like this. But hey, this sequel doesn't necessarily have to involve this light. The world could continue on with another book and another soul. It could bring us a more original-esque light character, maybe keeping the Yagami name instead, and being more intertwined with L rather than his girlfriend all the time. It's clear that the performance of L far outweighs everything else in this movie, and him being a world-renowned detective can put him anywhere. The world has also progressed in the last 4 years, so it seems obvious that more Asian Americans will get cast, if the plot even stays Western. And there's still plenty of good content to be adapted still. The only official information we have is that the sequel will draw more closely to the source material, so everything else is speculation. Some have asked for more cerebral horror rather than gore, which I'm less certain will change, whilst others demand returning to Japan entirely, which I guess is possible too. I just want people to stop shouting in public about an obvious secret.
That son of a bitch killed them all.
You?
There's so many rules in that thing. There must be some kind of loophole or something.
Either way, the story lives on, and whether that means finally giving the source material what it deserves or more of the same crappy reinterpretation, the entertainment from this Netflix franchise will continue in one form or another. For now though, I think I'm gonna go watch some William Dafoe films. Seems to be the trend. Or some Japanese live actions instead. My name's been Daz. You didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit. Or check out our streams, we're probably doing it now. Here's our schedule. Goodbye.